Neumünster, Schleswig-Holstein, 13th of January, 2010. The city is the center of the so-called biker war. Several bandidos walk to a nearby fast food restaurant and steal the vests from Hell's Angels supporters. One of the Red Devils is stabbed and badly injured. During the investigations, there are several mishaps. The trial at the district court in Kiel is not able to identify the culprit for the stabbing. Misconduct within the police and contradictions in the files are so great that observers start to ask questions. Among them, today's member of European Parliament, Patrick Breyer, who has at that time been delegate in the state parliament in Kiel for the Pirate Party. Before the 2017 state election, I have been given information about the complaints of some police officers saying that exculpatory information for a criminal case have been suppressed. They tried in vain to stand out against this proceeding, and therefore they have been bullied. They changed to another department, but police tried to declare them mentally ill and to send them to the doctor. This is actually an unbelievable attack on our constitutional state. About the origin of the U Committee, Breyer explains, "Shortly before the 2017 state election, I faced the Ministry of the Interior to a list of questions about the scandal within the LKA. That means the police authority of the federal state, the suppression of exculpatory information, and the bullying of the police whistleblowers. The ministry did not really answer these questions, so I published the accusations and gave it to the media. The press just reported on it after the state election, and we went on urging the Ministry of the Interior to answer our questions. When we had quit the state parliament, they tried to continue the questioning without us, but did not succeed. In the end, they decided that a fundamental inspection was necessary, and the fitting tool for that is a parliamentary committee of inquiry, shortened U Committee. It is the so-called sharpest sword of Parliament. The U Committee is supposed to investigate the accusations against LKA and executive police officers, but also other accusations saying that there have been cases of racist and sexist discrimination linked to police apprenticeship without any intervention of the Ministry of the Interior. The leader of Schleswig-Holstein's Social Democratic Party, SPD, Ralf Stegner, also went in for the accusations. The context is that there were investigations against biker gangs. The question is why and how investigation files have been manipulated, which is obviously the case. Who was responsible for this? The Department of Public Prosecution in Kiel. What about their cooperation with the police authority of the federal state, LKA? There are contradictions. What happened within the police? Officers that don't seem to be irresponsible are pressured and really get in trouble. And what about the executive officers? The former president of Lübeck's police department reports that there has been a system of favoritism. To the question which results the Parliamentary Committee of Inquiry achieved, Patrick Breyer and Ralf Stegner answer, "It became clear that the accusations were justified. This information shouldn't have been suppressed. It should have been given to the court. The police informer shouldn't have been protected." It seems to be true that it was a leading member of a biker gang who would have been in danger when his cooperation with the police would have emerged in a public trial. It is possible that this was the reason for the decision to keep his identity secret. But in a constitutional state, it is required that witnesses give testimony. especially when they can help to find out the truth and to prevent innocence from being condemned. And there are several possibilities to protect witnesses. Hiding them on a safe spot or allowing them to give testimony behind a screen. All this is possible, but it is not tolerable to kick their information into the long grass. Police employed illegal techniques, and although some police officers protested rightly and even complained at the Ministry of the Interior, police went through with it. In that case, I really can understand that these officers were so desperate that they passed the ball to me, and it seems that this was the only possibility to uncover the system of fear created by a network of executive police officers. And indeed, after that, a lot of things changed. Trust in police is damaged. The citizens can't rely on the fact that constitutional laws are respected and complaints lead to improvements. On the contrary, those who report something have to be afraid of big drawbacks. And the responsible for the suppression of exculpatory information has even been advanced. He has never gotten a disciplinary punishment. And in any case, I think that enough has already come to light, and this makes it clear that things have to change inside the police. Among others, the Conservative Party, CDU, claimed the U Committee's dismissal, especially due to its high costs. But even after numerous hearings during the past 3 years, several questions remain unanswered. I think those who claim the dismissal don't have good arguments on their side. Like already said, taking evidence hasn't finished yet. Some of the principal witnesses haven't been heard. For example, former Minister for the Interior. A central figure is the former Bandidos president Ralph B., whose hints to the police haven't been written down in the files, and in this manner were the cause for the whole biker affair. B., until now, has never appeared on television and is for the first time answering the question how many times he has been invited by the U Committee. Not at all, so far. Ask yourself a question. How big is the U Committee's willingness to clear up the case when the central figure, or the person who is said to be in the center of the whole affair, is the only one who is not invited to testify and is not supposed to be heard? The hackers collective Anonymous, wearing Guy Fawkes masks and fighting against censorship and abuse of power worldwide, also got involved in this debate. Anonymous regional group Waterkant started Operation Stooley in order to draw attention to the fact that another police informer is possibly part of this puzzle. After carefully establishing contacts for months, we managed to interview a member of this group at a hidden spot. Anonymous is observing the whole process for several years. Anonymous is fighting for transparency against the superiority of secret services that try to obscure some facts. We thought that in the U Committee a lot of details would be revealed, but this just did not happen. Therefore, we got active and intervened because we had the feeling that they tried to obscure many things. On the one hand, we talk about stoolies. Police, and especially the police authority of the federal state, LKA, are cooperating with right-winged informers whose worldview is fascist and misanthropic, which by itself is already outrageous. Furthermore, Alexander H., active as a stoolie in the subway case, was exempt from any punishment, although he is the prime suspect in that attack. In the files, we find several clues for his participation and even for the fact that he was the one who stabbed the rival biker. Police never followed this suspicion. Phone tapping data tell us that he was at the crime scene during the attack. His car was seen there. Witnesses named him and described an attacker suspector who has the same physique as he has. But in contrary to the other suspects who spent some months in remand, in his case, there was only a short raid he described as easy. We are not willing to accept that stoolies are able to commit a crime without any prosecution due to their police contacts. In the context of Operation Stoolie, Anonymous also published several pages of the criminal case files. We retraced the information. Alexander H. is a fascist from the banned Combat 18 network with contacts to the NSU terrorists. Indeed, there are several clues for a participation of Alexander H. in the stabbing. From telephone surveillance, it got clear that one witness that wrote messages with the Bandido biker after the attack knows details about the attack from the 13th of January 2010 that apparently come from a person involved in the crime. According to Anonymous, Alexander H. didn't want those details to be announced openly. Therefore, he offers help, money, and a lawyer to the witness. When she broke off contact, he showed up at her front door late at night. She reported, "I think they could menace me when I say something, or something could happen to me or my family. I'm really afraid." Specifically on Alexander H., she states, "He's the one I'm most afraid of." Anonymous documents more clues. Shortly after the attack, his biker club awarded the "Expect No Mercy" patch to Alexander H. This patch is meant as a warning of its bearer, because it is rewarded only to those who have committed murder on behalf of the club or have badly injured a rival. Nevertheless, intensity of criminal prosecution was low. Like the witness reported, they didn't confiscate his laptop. They just took a short look at it. But as if they found something, it didn't take long. He said it was normal, even easy. Ralph B., former Bandidos president, comments, "I have read the files too, of course. You don't need any legal expertise to stumble on passages that raise questions. I can't explain why the U Committee skipped these passages. Maybe they should step it up a notch." On Alexander H. Facebook page, one of his friends asks, "Who believes this lying dirt? At the most, floozies or some idiotic lawyers." The accused himself wrote, "I thought I just opposed this investigative, provable reportage from Northern German Broadcasting, NDR, to this anonymous accusation. The accusation is in fact not really new. Already on the 20th of July 2017, the self-same NDR, praised by Alexander H., reported, 'Lying on the floor, in his blood, several police informers are on the ground.' However, in the following years, this explosive hint, saying that more than one stoolie was involved in the subway attack, has not been pursued. Patrick Breyer explains this as follows. "The media, as a fourth power, have the task to reveal the truth. In this biker affair, I prefer to call it police affair. There has been a one-sided coverage. Examples are the Spiegel or Schleswig-Holstein newspaper publisher SHZ. It was tried to discredit another newspaper that had always reported critically. Some journalists are not allowed to cover the story any longer. Furthermore, I heard that politicians tried to influence the NDR coverage by the help of personal contacts, and certain investigative reporters were removed from that story. In my opinion, we are facing a dangerous development due to the fact that we have only few organs able to do that work in Schleswig-Holstein. When there is manipulation, the investigation of sensitive issues is seriously affected, as well as the whole constitutional state." On the 12th of October, the newspaper Kieler Nachrichten commented the accusations presented by the Spiegel as follows. The Spiegel doubts even the existence of a biker affair, which in their point of view has been overrated. The Spiegel does not deliver any proof for their accusation. Referring to the charge of spreading fake news, the Kieler Nachrichten points out the authors don't deliver any proof for their theory that the Kieler Nachrichten are supposed of having fooled the public. But not only pressure on the media, also the development of press announcements by the police pose a problem, says lawyer Ole Baumann, who represented one of the subway victims. It depends on what, and especially how, you write it. Of course, it happens on again, off again, that before biker parties, well, at the moment there are no biker meetings or parties due to corona, but in the past there were regular police controls before such parties. Every visitor was controlled before entering the party area. Partly the police just wrote down personal data, partly they also did a body search. In the Regional Administration Act, there is the possibility to declare a place as a dangerous area. Partly, they searched the vehicles, and of course, the police found on again, off again suspicious objects that could represent a criminal offense or at least a minor breach of the law. Pepper spray, a penknife, a box cutter, maybe also some weed. That happens. Where there are a lot of people, those things happen. When the police announcement says that at a meeting of a biker gang, no matter which one, arms have been found, this sounds dramatic. When finally these arms turn out to be just one penknife or one box knife, it's not part of the announcement, because in that case, newspapers would not print it. When from 250 persons, only one has a box knife, this isn't worth a headline for the media. But when police writes of arms or drugs, it is. I mean, it is not a lie to write that drugs were found when one single visitor of the party has a tiny amount of weed, but it depends on how you write it. If police reports the details, newspapers wouldn't print it. That's what I reproached the police press office. They should concretize their announcement, not to create a false impression. Legally, the subway attack is time-barred, but a lot of questions keep unanswered. For me, this case was so important because it shows, firstly, the danger of cases that cannot be cleared up at the court, just because for the police, the protection of their informers is more important than the innocence of the accused. In this context, it is even humanely understandable if exculpatory circumstances are not investigated as thoroughly as perhaps incriminating circumstances are. The Department of Public Prosecution claim that it is the most objective office in the world because the paragraph 160, passage 2 of the Code of Criminal Procedure forces them to investigate the exculpatory circumstances as well. This is, of course, nonsense. The Department of Public Prosecution is programmed to prosecute and to condemn. In the end, they are civil servants. They are subject to instructions and they have to do their jobs. Secondly, this case made public the system of fear inside the federal police. That it happened quite regularly that those who report drawbacks are the ones who suffer and not those who caused the drawbacks. This is a huge injustice in the system that creates moral cowardice and invites to spurn the law.